Good everyone. Thanks for joining with us here today. I want to thank every member of this coalition that is out here who have been demanding change. To our Native partners, to Metro Urban Indian Directors, to Red Lake Nation, Little Earth and the Little Earth Protectors, to AICDC and the AIOIC. These are organizations that we've been partnering with that have been demanding change and have been insisting that we need to not just treat these communities with compassion and respect, but understand the massive impact that these open-air drug markets have on their children and on their respective communities. I want to thank our law enforcement partners, Minneapolis Police, Park Police, Metro Transit, and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Dewana Witt. I want to thank our city staff, especially our commissioner, Todd Barnett, who is a huge reason why we're here today. He saw the need for stronger coordination and a more clear response, and he's helped develop that response from the ground up. I also want to take a moment to just stop and take in the community, the people, and also the activities that are happening around us. We're standing not too far from a school, not too far from a daycare, with young children inside. There's a church also that's not too far away that has really a whole lot of that has a lot going on Sundays. We've got a basketball court, community center that's down the road that's a popular spot for youth to come play with their friends. So this is a bustling neighborhood full of families with young children and people who care deeply about this community. But this has also become the location of open-air drug markets, where illegal drug use, trafficking, exploitation, and violence have taken place in broad daylight. We've heard from countless residents and businesses that they want change. And so today, we're announcing a coordinated response with social service, with law enforcement, and community partners. And that coordinated response is to deal with and handle and then ultimately end these open-air drug markets. I'm using that phrase very intentionally because it's time that we stop talking about these as homeless encampments. The primary driver here is not homelessness, and it is not a lack of shelter. It is deep addiction and pain. It is traffickers that are preying on people that are vulnerable and making a whole lot of money off of it, and in the process, it is disastrous to community. And so what we're going to do here is provide a choice. You can get services that we will offer, and you can get better. We'll make sure that those services are readily accessible. But if you don't accept those services, you can't continue to hurt our neighborhoods and make our streets less safe. And so the city, in partnership with Metro Transit Police, Park Police, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, and other law enforcement agencies, has begun a proactive enforcement measure along this corridor, and we can also bring it to the rest of the city. So this is an all-hands-on-deck approach that's going to bring together multiple agencies to maintain a persistent presence and a coordinated response. Law enforcement will proactively cite and arrest individuals engaging in illegal activity. That means we will target drug dealers and those exploiting vulnerable people. You just got an example of that on Tuesday. We'll cite those using openly, and if you do so in a way that is making it less safe for kids or a school or a business to operate, you'll get arrested. If these gatherings move, our response will move along with them. We will disrupt illegal activity wherever it occurs. We will have off-ramps at every point: shelter, housing, diversions, citations. We're going to make sure we're offering treatment and care that is culturally sensitive. And so every step of the way, along with enforcement, there's also an off-ramp. We want to make sure people know that it's there. We will also need other criminal justice partners to make sure that accountability doesn't end at the point of an arrest. Releasing people back into the very same cycle isn't helping them or their surrounding communities. This is not about criminalizing addiction. This is about addressing criminal behavior, exploitation, and really dangerous conditions that are harming both the people within these gatherings and the surrounding community. Outreach and enforcement are not competing strategies. They do go hand in hand. Our city and Hennepin County has led the country in moving people from temporary shelter to permanent and/or supportive housing. Unsheltered homelessness continues to decline dramatically. At the start of the summer, there were 239 people in Hennepin County, not just Minneapolis, that were actively working with our outreach teams. Those 239 people are connected, they're known, and are on a path to stability. We've seen an 11% reduction since 2025, a 20% reduction since 2024, and a significantly greater reduction than that since 2020. But what we're seeing here is not unsheltered homelessness alone, and that is not the primary driver. It's about addiction and dealers that are preying on vulnerable people who are addicted. Just this past month, I visited Little Earth, and during that visit, I learned that there were 4 children that had stepped on discarded needles and required HIV prevention treatment. While enforcement efforts increase, our homeless response team will continue to be on the ground daily, offering shelter, offering services and transportation and support. Our mobile medical unit will be meeting people where they are to provide services on site. And our partners at the county will continue to come out and offer shelter and care to anyone who is interested. But after years of intensive outreach, we've reached a point where we cannot simply stand by while illegal activity continues to endanger our neighbors. Our community's members have stepped up. There's been a shift of both the mentality and the response over the last several years, and what we're adding today is a very coordinated response. You will see results, and we're going to be working hand in hand with the incredible partners that are behind us. I want to mostly thank our Native community. Not only have they stepped out and spoken up around a very difficult issue, they've suffered greatly because of the circumstances that they've seen in their neighborhoods and on our streets. And so the fact that they have the courage of their conviction to come out and tell the truth today, the fact that they have the courage of their convictions to demand better for their communities, I think is a huge deal. And so with that, I'm going to welcome up Joe Hobart, the president of AIOIC, who's been a consummate partner.
Thank you, Mayor Fry. Good morning, my relatives. My name is Dr. Joe Hobart. I'm Unkpapa Lakota. I serve as the president and CEO of the American Indian OIC. We have been an anchor institution within the Minneapolis urban indigenous community for over 47 years. During that time, our organization has continued to provide no-cost services to our people in the realm of workforce development, job placement, and education, including our on-site high school, Dakota Prep, which is a part of the Minneapolis Public School District as a contract alternative program. Never during the AIOIC's lifetime have we experienced an unsheltered crisis that has reached such levels of severity as we are experiencing today. Our hearts and spirits remain pained by the circumstances of our unsheltered relatives. We clearly understand that the vast majority of the unhoused population suffer from ongoing mental health issues that are commonly paired with a deep addiction to heavy narcotics such as heroin and opioids. We have witnessed firsthand how the power of these dueling health factors can quickly cause the afflicted to spiral out of control, fall beyond the safety mechanisms provided by civil society, and land onto the concrete sidewalks beneath our overpasses. Our organization, like many other Native American organizations in this community, has devoted the labor and talents of its incredible staff towards lifting up those who no longer wish to live on the streets. Working collaboratively with our partners, including the City of Minneapolis, Hennepin County, the State of Minnesota, the American Indian OIC has contributed significantly towards reducing the number of unhoused over the decades we have been in operation. What now remains in the wake of our collective efforts is a residual population of homeless that are the very hardest of the hard to serve. These are the folks whose mental health challenges and personal addictions are so deep, so profound, that our usual strategies of interdiction simply are not working. While our various teams continue to recalibrate our strategies and persevere in our work, the unsanctioned gathering spaces where the unsheltered now congregate have steadily devolved into very dark, exceedingly violent, and wholly inhospitable street encampments. Rampant open-air drug use, criminal drug dealing, prostitution, and physical violence, including gun violence, have become increasingly common within these camps on a daily basis, occurring at all hours of the day. As a result, the Minneapolis urban indigenous community now finds itself hostage to these depraved, lawless, and incredibly dangerous encampments. The American Indian OIC firmly believes that we have an obligation to our clients, our students, our staff, and to the wider community as a whole to protect their safety and to ensure the security of our own. Therefore, it is imperative that we continue to work collaboratively towards eliminating these encampments permanently. We believe that our children should be able to come and go to school each day safely, to enjoy a summer day in the neighborhood park without fear of being assaulted or sexually propositioned by those who inhabit or participate in these camps. We believe that our elders have earned the right to enjoy the amenities this city has to offer with their grandchildren, without fear of being brutally attacked or robbed at knife point by strung-out individuals, pimps, or gangbangers. We believe our families have the right to use public transportation, to shop in local stores, and to enjoy their front steps with their families without fear of gunfire or errant bullets, stepping on unused drug needles littered all over the ground, or having to witness human beings repeatedly defecating in the open streets in broad daylight. The urban indigenous community of the Minneapolis city deserves so much better. We are your fellow citizens, we are Minneapolitans, and we want to be able to enjoy our lives in the same way as anyone else in any other neighborhood would want to. Accordingly, we believe that the new law enforcement initiative now being spearheaded by Mayor Frey, the City of Minneapolis, and our fellow partners, working in partnership with the Minneapolis Police Department, Metro Transit Police, and the various Native nonprofit organizations who specialize in working with and lifting up the impoverished, is a bold new step in the right direction. The American Indian OIC applauds this new initiative and fully supports its immediate implementation. For far too long, the Minneapolis urban indigenous community has been ignored by so many, treated as an unfortunate byproduct of a tragic history, an afterthought that has been often left alone to fend for ourselves. Through this new initiative, Mayor Frey, the City of Minneapolis, and our partners once again are loudly affirming that our people matter, that the Minneapolis urban indigenous community matters, and that our people deserve the same quality of life, complete with the same safe neighborhoods, free of lawless encampments, as any other city in the state of Minnesota. For that, we offer a heartfelt Wopalatanka and Chimigwich. Thank you. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Travis Earthwarner, the President and CEO of the American Indian Community Development Corporation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Travis Earthwarner. I'm the CEO of American Indian Community Development Corporation. We work on housing individuals that are experiencing long-term homelessness, put them in shelters, permanent supportive housing, transitional housing, family housing, and all types of services that improve the lives and livelihoods of those we serve. The American Indian community and surrounding community have put up with continuous struggles of cycle of addictions and perpetuating circumstances that are a result of this substance use. With rampant open-air drug market and constant discard use of used paraphernalia in places meant for children, transit use, and other community spaces. It endangers the community to harms they are not responsible for. Families cannot bring their children to daycare and know that they are safe from the outside impacts. Students cannot go to school without being exposed to active drug use and being propositioned for sexual favors in exchange for monetary compensation. This drug-fueled economic system drives the rampant exposure of violence in various ways. Our community needs a paradigm shift to address the unrestricted approach to such visible disregard to the greater community needs. The community has voiced this is not acceptable. This behavior occurs or wouldn't occur in any other community or any other neighborhood, and it shouldn't be tolerated here. To have lasting impacts, we need to build a balance, and that means accountability. And it takes many of us for that change to occur. Collaboration with law enforcement, service providers, and community organizations aligning would help identifying that balance. We have had successes in the past addressing and implementing models that have immediate impact. Such as that as tiny villages. We need to work on making a culturally specific and grounded avenue in addressing and diminishing the impulsiveness the community has currently. It's time to elevate and concentrate on this balance and service coordination and policing at a rate that is not out to meet quotas, but is directed at maintaining the peace. Thank you for that, and have a good day.
Next, I'd like to bring up the Secretary of Red Lake Nation, Rob May.
Oh, bonjour. Indinaway ma gananaduk binawa ninjiwamag. Indigenous cause ozawa beneshi migizi and dure. Oga kani nindunjaba. Niminwenda mayaya and oma nungum gishigad. Hello, friends and family. I'm happy to be here with you all today. And I'd just like to start out by thanking Mayor Fry and all the other dignitaries who are gathered here today, all the other community organizations and leaders. Today is a huge day because we have a shared commitment to creating safer, healthier communities. The Red Lake Nation welcomes this opportunity because we know these challenges are bigger than any one government, organization, or community. They require partnership, trust, and a willingness to work together. As a Anishinaabe, we are taught that every person has value. Every one of our relatives deserves dignity, compassion, and the opportunity to heal. We know addiction has touched far too many lives. I just got here at 3 o'clock this morning. I came from a funeral of such a bright young lady who was taken far too early. I've lost my brother to addiction. My daughter has lost her mother here in this community. And it's time that we have a willingness to work together. At the same time, you know, like Travis was saying, our families, our elders, our children, and our neighborhoods deserve to feel safe. Recovery and public safety are not competing priorities. They are complementary responsibilities. We must continue creating pathways to healing while also protecting our communities from those who profit from addiction and exploit vulnerable people. For the Red Lake Nation, this is deeply personal. Thousands of our band members live, work, receive health care, participate in cultural activities, and access tribal services throughout Minneapolis. That is why we continue investing in culturally grounded recovery, housing, healthcare, and community partnerships. One example of that work is Ombindwa Gidnawema Gananadug's Cultural Center, where our relatives can reconnect with their language, their culture, and identity, while finding hope and support on their path to recovery. And pathways aimed at uplifting our relatives. Today's announcement is about more than a change in policy. It's an opportunity to strengthen partnerships and build a future where governments, community, and Native-led organizations and service providers work together toward shared solutions, where we put our people, our communities, in our neighborhoods first. Red Lake Nation has never waited for others to solve challenges facing our people in our communities. We invest, we build, we partner, and we lead. Guided by our teachings, values, and our responsibility to the next 7 generations, we remain committed to protecting our people, strengthening our communities, and working alongside all of our partners to create communities where families feel safe, recovery is possible, culture is celebrated, and every relative has the opportunity to live a healthy, happy, and meaningful life. Our children shouldn't feel scared to go to school. They shouldn't be witnessing these heinous acts that are taking place. Our elders should be able to walk to the bus, walk to the Indian Center, come to the American Indian OIC without feeling scared. And this partnership is allowing us to move forward in a good way. So Chimigwich Bizendawig, Aho. I'd like to introduce Vinny next.
Bonjour, Jean de Gizik, Indigenous Cause, Magizi and Dodem. My name is Vin Dion. I was born and raised right here in this community, just maybe a block and a half away from here, Little Earth. And I currently reside on Franklin Avenue, which we're on right now. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I raise my children in this community. I'm also an advocate, I'm an activist, and I'm also a housing worker with our unsheltered population. And when I was asked to speak today, this was hard for me to come up here and do this today. I love our people. I work with them every day. I've established relationships with them. But also, one of the other things is I'm in recovery. This year will be my 13th year that I've been sober from heroin, and methamphetamine. I know firsthand what it's like for that drug to own you, where everything that I've done that day was I was going to find that drug and put it in me. And while I was living that lifestyle, I was committing crimes out here, and I was making my community an unsafe place. And so I know what's going on out here in the streets, and this is what's going on. And one of the other roles I have is being I co-chair the safety committee for MUD. And our community members, that's a chance for them to come in there and voice their concerns. And our community members have been coming in there voicing their concerns, and that's what made me come here today. Our elders are living in fear right now. We have single mothers out here that are worried for their children. We have people in recovery that are having a hard time staying sober because they come out here and they see all the open air drug usage. And as a worker, we talk about meeting all our clients where they're at. And this is me right here, meeting my client where they're at. We have to meet everyone where they're at. For a long time, as a worker, we always just thought about one section of our community. Now it's time to think about the rest of the community. Think about the ones that live here day in and day out, the ones that are living in fear. And that's what it took for everyone to come here today. So I want to thank all the community members for stepping up, for being that person, for being that voice, for not being scared. Because it's tough. You know, we have advocates out here that will speak against you and villainize you and treat you like you're a bad person just because you're living in fear. But I want to thank everyone today. Also, you know, I live out here. I'm out here every day, each and every day. And I'm not saying to come out here and arrest everybody, because I'm out here every day. You know, you will see my face, and I will stand up for our people. So let me say that. But I want to thank my good friend Travis Earth Warner. He taught me a lot about doing this outreach work. He's the one that asked me to come up here today. And I guess with that, I'll close. Thank you. Next up, we have the Deputy Chief.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the speakers that went before me. I really appreciate everything that they do for this community and everything they do to help us as a police department. My name is Mark Kluko. I work as the Assistant Chief of Operations for the Minneapolis Police Department. I want to make really clear, known that everybody understands that using narcotics outside is illegal, soliciting sex from children is illegal, defecating outside, robbing people, assaulting folks, and peddling narcotics to very vulnerable people. It's all illegal. The Minneapolis Police Department is leading and have been mandated by this community, directed specifically to lead this effort to get in between the victims and the criminals, and that's what we're prepared to do. How are we going to do that? We're going to use Inspector Gomez's most proficient and effective police officers. They're called the Southside React. Lieutenant O'Hara, Ryan O'Hara, is with us here today. He's the leader of that group. He's going to use citations, arrests, assistance and diversion when possible, and referrals, have social workers working with them to make sure that they can interrupt the cycle that we're in. I should make it really obvious also that we understand as much as anybody else that arresting someone out of addiction may have worked one time somewhere in the history of humanity, but it's certainly not a strategy, and it's not the main thing that we're doing. What we are doing is trying to give the neighbors and the community relief by using the powers and obligations we've been given as police officers to get in between the criminals and the victims and to try to help people that are under the scourge of addiction with fentanyl, methamphetamine, and the other narcotics that we're seeing. I want to make sure that it's known that we're not doing this alone. We have our partners from Metropolitan Transit. We have the Minneapolis Park Police. I think Chief Ohado's here with us. We need our city attorney to assist us. We need others in the system to assist us wholeheartedly to make sure that this works and that we have a sustained fix on the problem and that this community no longer has to deal with this scourge. We also have amazing assistance from Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, and our next speaker is Hennepin County Sheriff Dewana Witt.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Dewana Witt. I am the Sheriff of Hennepin County. Just this week, I spoke at a press conference hosted by the U.S. Attorney's Office alongside MPD, FBI, and the DEA on the indictments related to drug trafficking organizations that is wreaking havoc in our communities. Investigators tracked some of the suspects who are accused of selling deadly narcotics, and they found that some of that dealing occurred in open-air drug markets right here in Minneapolis. Open-air drug markets aren't just havens for those suffering from addiction. They're also responsible for destroying the neighborhood economy. Research has consistently shown that these places are associated with increased violent crime, high property crime, public health concerns, reduced perceptions of safety, declining business activity, lower quality of life, and a greater demand on all of our first responders. We know that arrests and citations alone won't solve the underlying problems: addiction, poverty, mental health issues, and homelessness. I was an addiction professional for quite some time, and I grew up in a family and a community not far from here that was also plagued with addiction. I know firsthand how drugs destroy families and communities. So this is personal for me, not just professional. I know the challenges, especially when someone doesn't accept resources. An integrated approach that blends law enforcement with trauma-informed social services to provide continuous engagement and build trust is what is needed, along with working with those that live in our community. This includes those individuals who declined to accept those resources. We cannot leave the rest of our community fearing for their safety. We cannot afford for children to believe that drug dealing and drug abuse is a norm. We cannot accept that. Our children deserve better. Our communities deserve better. We all deserve better. Open-air drug markets will be dealt with. That I can promise you. We will continue to enforce the very laws that are in place to assist us in dismantling the deadly drugs that are harming our community. The impacts of drugs are far-reaching and destructive to all communities. And that's why it will take all of us to combat what we are seeing here right in this very community. My office will continue to work with all our law enforcement and public health partners to find long-term and sustainable solutions. You see, just because you see things get better doesn't mean you're done. It means you still have to be on it so it never starts again. Today's announcement is a proactive step in the right direction to create safer and healthier communities for all. Thank you, and I'd like to introduce City Council Vice President Jamal Osman.
Hello everyone, my name is Jamal Osman, Minneapolis City Council Vice President, also a council member from District 6, which is here, Ward 6. Thank you, Mayor Fry. Thank you for all the city, county, state, and law enforcement. I also want to thank the residents that live here, small businesses, families, elders, neighborhood leaders who have been speaking up for many, many years. They told us clearly that what they are seeing, open air drug dealing, people being exploited, children and families forced to walk through unsafe conditions, people in recovery forced to walk past the very crisis they are fighting to survive. This cannot continue. People struggling with addiction need help. Drug dealers and traffickers who profit from the addiction need accountability. Neighborhoods like this need safety, and government must act. Open-air drug markets are not compassion. They prey on vulnerable people, hurt neighborhood, and make it harder to connect people with treatment and support. The community has been clear. We cannot keep managing this pain the same way and call it compassion. That's why responding in urgency matters. And when leaders show up with action, we should support that action, build on it, and make sure that reaches the people who need the most. But this cannot be the end of the work. This has to be the beginning. Our neighbors deserve safety, our residents deserve dignity, our children deserve better, and people struggling with addiction deserve real path to recovery. We have to act with urgency, we have to act with humanity, and we have to keep showing up until our neighbors can feel the difference. I have many pain stories that I can share. Here, children that are catching the bus are stepping on needles. A young man whose family was trying to help under the bridge lost his life last fall because he tried to cross the road and the car struck him. I'm super glad we're all coming together to tackle the issue. Thank you.
Next, we'll have our Director of Regulatory Services, Enrique Velasquez.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone. I'm Enrique Velasquez, the Director of Regulatory Services here at the City of Minneapolis. I want to start by saying, actually repeating something important here. Our city is very much in the business of human-centered, compassionate care. That is going to continue. We will not stop. People who are suffering from addiction, from substance use disorders, they deserve respect, compassion, and options for treatment. It's our duty to help our fellow neighbors, our relatives. Yes, enforcement matters, and so does empathy. So does kindness. Whether people with substance use issues are unsheltered or not, our homeless response team is out every single day to offer resources, sheltering options, and treatment services for those who wish to avail themselves of it. Every day. Our partners like Hennepin County and other service providers are also out every day to help and offer resources. Our city's medical mobile unit continues to visit neighborhood community clinics near these same hotspots to offer medical care and substance use services. We have 3 Narcan vending machines in the city that have provided more than 11,000 life-saving doses since they were installed. 11,000 life-saving doses. And Brixadi helps people manage the withdrawal symptoms so they can receive the care that they need. Since last August, through our program, the Fairview Recovery Clinics in Cedar Riverside has administered 150 doses of Brixadi to people who needed it. Our efforts are working, and we're seeing a decrease in the number of encampments, seeing a decrease in the number of unsheltered residents. But we've also noticed that many of the people in open-air drug markets, they're not unhoused. They're drug dealers that are preying on people who are. They're taking advantage of community members in the surrounding areas. That cannot continue and will no longer be tolerated. Our work continues, and we're proud of it. Compassionate care is still accountability. With that, I'll turn the lectern back over to Mayor Fry. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I also want to note that we're joined by our Deputy Director of Health in Heidi Ritchie, and I believe David Bernstein, who I've not seen yet, but he's from our City Attorney's Office. And with that, I'll open it to any questions that you might have.
Mayor, you talked about increased enforcement. The release out of this also mentioned expanding recovery, ways to offer recovery to people. What kinds of things are being done aside from just enforcement?
Yeah. So I'll bring up both Heidi Ritchie. Heidi, are you here? Yep. Who's our Deputy Director. There's a few things that we're working on in terms of recovery. I'll note that the county provides the lion's share of the social services, but there are a couple of pieces, and Heidi can expand on it, that we're presently working towards along with the DEA. One of them is use of Brixadi. Brixadi is a pharmaceutical drug that is quite expensive. It costs about $1,000 per shot, but the end result is you have a month where withdrawal symptoms are significantly curbed. What we found is that when people are either very high or going through withdrawal, they're far less likely to accept voluntarily treatment. And so when you expand that happy middle zone where you're neither going through withdrawal nor are you high, they're more likely to accept the service. Brixadi allows them to do that. The goal, however, and what we have not been able to do yet, is get Brixadi on a mobile medical unit so that we're actually bringing it out to people where they are. We're working along with the DEA, with Heidi, with our health department to try to make that a possibility. To again deliver services directly to where people are at, because one of the frustrating points is that when someone is at the point where they want to seek help, where they're going to take treatment, we take them into treatment only for the hospital or the health provider to say, we'll give you an appointment in a week and a half. We all know what's going to happen during that week and a half. And so Heidi can expand a lot on the work of opioid work, of the addiction treatment work, and what they're doing in the health department as well as the county.
Sure, thanks. Thank you. My name is Heidi Ritchie, HEIDI-RITCHIE. I'm the Deputy Health Commissioner for the City of Minneapolis. The mayor said it great. We are really working to expand access and availability of Brixadi, which is a long-acting injectable buprenorphine medication for opioid use disorder. We do have it around the city at the Fairview University Emergency Department and the Recovery Clinic, and we have had doses at the Native American Community Clinic. We're super grateful for those partnerships right here in this community and seeking to expand those to other areas of the city, including the mobile medical unit, as the mayor mentioned. We are working through some regulatory framework with the DEA and that medication, and seeking to get that onto the mobile medical unit. Also with access, we're working with the Board of Pharmacy to see if there's ways that we're able to create that access within our pharmaceutical and pharmacy network.
I have a question about geography. We've been talking a lot about Franklin Avenue, but rightly so. We know it's not the only open-air drug market in the city. Lake and Blaisdell is about as bad as I've seen it. Is this same thing we're talking about also applying to Lake and Blaisdell
Yes.
and other areas?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe a question for MPD. Can we kind of expand on the enforcement, what that looks like as far as when are citations issued, when are arrests issued, and how does the social work kind of work between those two?
Yeah.
Enforcement actions.
It's a great question. AC Kluko, you hear that?
We do have prohibitions for custodial arrests in many cases. when it comes to folks that are committing misdemeanors, to put them in jail is not an option. We don't have that in our capabilities. And your question related to when we could give them a citation and when they can go into a custodial arrest situation, and also the deferral process, maybe that's of interest to you, is if they get a citation and we also help them into a process of finding social services and they have success there, that citation, we have an option to bring that down in a diversion program. The felonies are really the ones where they can go to jail, and that's where the county attorney is. We're going to need them to assist us to get those prosecutions to stick and the charges to stick on those folks, so we can.
Would that be more for like repeat offenders, or just kind of numerous issues with this person or something like that?
Really, we don't know. The misdemeanors are misdemeanors, and we don't have multiple misdemeanors graduate to a felony. The misdemeanors are handled at our city level, and felonies generally go with violence or a Schedule 1 narcotic that the rest that they're peddling.
And we're talking about stepped up enforcement. I mean, why now? Why not sooner? What was the breaking point now to say we got to really step things up here?
Certainly, yeah, certainly.
If you want to start, you can.
Well, we're responding immediately to our mayor and the communities with a directive, specific directive, and the priorities within the city and the things that the police department is obligated to do. We certainly are going to be deprioritizing other things to make sure that this is effective and efficient.
When you cite someone for open use, does the 1800 Chicago facility play a role in the decision that they get?
Yes.
What is sort of that decision point? If someone is using openly, they're not a dealer,
Yeah.
What does that conversation look like?
I'll tell you the most difficult thing, and if someone wanted to step on that, the most difficult thing is talking someone into the squad car to give them a ride in to get to 1800 Chicago, because we also have we can't transport people that don't want to be transported. Okay. So we have to we would always love to bring them to 1800 Chicago rather than give them a ticket. The folks that are using, the folks that are addicted. Yeah.
I was wondering,
yeah, we got a bunch over here.
Vinny, if you're willing to answer, this looks like a huge apparent shift in true partnership with communities. How confident are you that this will work, assuming this has been tried before, where you've seen how are you feeling today?
This is how I'm feeling personally. I had my best friend die underneath this bridge over here just a few months ago. He was a person that I grew up with since we were 5 years old. I've known him for 40 years. He was also a person that I used to get high with and use and run the streets with. So for me, personal stories like that, and that's just one of them. I also have a daughter in active use right now. So for me, we have to do something different because our people are dying in the street today. And with our population where it's at right now is so low, I'm worried that in the future we won't have a community because a lot of our people are dying in the street. So that's why I stand here. I'm open to do different things. You know, obviously what we've been doing has not been working because here we are, you know, years later, still doing the same thing, still talking about the same issues. Yeah.
Can you respond to why now? Is this a direct response to the arrest of those gang members a short time ago, or was this something that the city's been working on for a while?
I'll answer your question in just a second. But I
Also got one other thing about my recovery journey. I wasn't strong enough to say enough's enough and to go into treatment or jump on Suboxone or any of these MAP programmings. It was forced upon me. I was arrested. And that was my way into recovery. So also that's why I do support that, because for some of us that is a way. I support recovery, you know, and whatever that looks like. And everyone has their own recovery journey that is in recovery. But I can tell you, when I go to some of our recovery meetings and I ask our people, what did that first day look like for you when you got sober? Over half the time it was like, well, I was sitting in the jail cell in Hennepin County, or I was sitting out in the workhouse. And so, yeah, I will get behind this, you know, because it is a pathway into recovery. But also I understand we need to have more services for them when they're coming out of that. You know, it wasn't just jail that did it for me. It was all these awesome programming. And it took me to get sober to have a clear mindset where I finally was able to humble myself and take these programs. So we do have to ramp up these programs. We do have to have more resources for our people when they're coming out of that.
something I want to address about what Vinny said too. So at the Hennepin County Jail, we have the MAC program, which is medical assisted treatment. We have the MAUD program, medical opioid use disorder program. We do have those connections with our various centers that help so that there is continuation from their recovery inside the jail and then back into the community. But I think it's very important for people to know that it's not lock people up and forget about the challenges they have. We do have resources available for people that are in our custody to try to help get them clean and continue that recovery journey.
To answer your question first, look, there's been a significant shift in the way that Minneapolis, Hennepin County, and well beyond have been handling addiction and some of the homeless encampments that we've seen over the last several years. Here's the bottom line for me. What I have found is that a harm reduction approach alone does not work. It is not reducing harm, it's not bringing people out of addiction, and it's not helping our community members. Just allowing a person to slowly kill themselves through fentanyl is not a compassionate approach. What we also found, and we've learned this through experience, is that some of the homeless encampments that you saw before was not about shelter and housing alone. The yurts that we saw for years there, they're gone. A majority of the tents are gone. What remains is people taking drugs in open daylight, and what remains are some of these dealers of narcotics that are openly preying on vulnerable individuals within our community. And so what was clear is that in addition to the compassionate approach, in addition to the harm reduction, in addition to the offerings of treatment, you also need to have the stick. And the stick is to say you can't continue to do this in these communities because it's hurting them. Look, this is something that we've been saying for quite a while, but to get the coordination together, yeah, took some time to develop the approach, took some time to bring community members along with us, took some time. And at the same time, community members have been demanding better. Look, I think you also probably recall when we would dismantle a number of these encampments or open air drug markets, there were times in years past where we literally had activists trying to prevent the homeless encampment from being closed. That was the case with Ninkasi. I got letters from the city council saying not to close it. And at the same time, we see the reality of what's happening on the ground. It is the reality, it's the data points, and it's learning from what other cities have experienced as well. We've seen this approach in Denver, in San Francisco, in New York City. And the approach, again, is coupling both the carrot and the stick. The approach is saying, we are going to enforce the law, and we're also going to provide an off-ramp so that people who need help at any point in time can get that help rather than it being a law enforcement approach only.